Hello, welcome to this game review. We'll have a look at a game in which white wrongfully traded two knights for a rook and later got a lost position, but after that he got some chances to win the game due to some tactics and also having two rooks on the 7th rank, which is quite a good thing in general, and we'll see what went wrong. So it started as some King's Indian attack, and black put his bishop on c5, which just runs into d4. So white of course has some advantage here, the bishop is completely misplaced, c5, white plays b3, which is fine, other moves work as well. White could already go into some Benoni type structure by putting his pawn on d5, and he can enjoy quite a big advantage here, because the bishop is just completely out of play. But after b3, knight c6, now black is really asking for d5, and after d5, black's knight is attacked, and this isn't that important, but after we play d5 we even gain a tempo, which makes our advantage even bigger. For example, after this, and black can play like knight b4 or something, we can just develop the knight, play e4, all of black's pieces are misplaced, and white is enjoying a big advantage. The bishop a3 was played, which kind of makes sense, but the pressure on c5 isn't too significant. Now white takes, and this also doesn't really make much sense unless we have a concrete reason to exchange this pawn for this pawn. In general, the pawn on d4 is of course better, but okay. And dc, knight c3, black plays bishop a5, but now after knight b5, white has a lot of activity. Mainly white's advantage lies in the inactivity of the black's light squared bishop, and with moves like knight d6, and c5 is hanging, queen c2, rook d1, white is enjoying a lot of pressure on the center and on the queen side. And a6, knight d6, knight b4, and now white plays knight e5, and here white makes a bad exchange, which is taking on f7. Granted, it's not that easy to play this position since the knight is hanging, but white has a couple of options, the simplest of which is to give up this bishop, which wasn't really doing anything anyway, and after black takes back, we can play c5, and if black ever takes this knight, we will have a strong passed pawn, and again white has a big advantage due to the queenside activity and black's inability to develop his remaining pieces. But in general, two pieces for a rook are usually not enough, even if we have a pawn, unless we can tell that our rooks are very active and they're open files, and preferably we would like to do that in an endgame. So this is why knight f7 is a blunder. Black takes the material, and now black is better because the rooks do not enjoy any open files, and even if they went to the d file, these bishops don't allow the rooks to go anywhere further. Now white gives up the bishop pair, and here exchanges a lot of stuff, and now if black develops his queen side, he will be quite easily winning, and also black is doing the right thing in attacking the opponent's king when he has more pieces, and as we can tell, these rooks can't really do much. e3, rook b8, trying to develop the bishop, rook d2, but now the bishop gets developed, and the black's advantage is only increasing, and after e4, now this bishop has been opened, and black can seal his advantage by playing the move e5, and then potentially putting his bishop on d4, and this way one bishop will be enough to stop two rooks, which should make black's advantage quite obvious. But okay, bishop c6, now white at least gets to play e5, knight g4, and now white has a big achievement, which is to bring the rook to the 7th rank, and even though black is kind of attacking on f2, white has quite a lot of activity. Here of course black has to go king f8 to not give up g7. After this, now white is winning, because he has two threats, taking here or here. Knight f2 was played, and at this point white can win quite easily by forcing moves, rook g8, the king can go wherever, it doesn't matter, and at this point black has two pieces for two rooks, even though this rook is hanging, this bishop is also hanging. So white is simply winning. And this is not a long combination. Okay, rook d7 is kind of makes sense, but we should be able to calculate rook g8. Okay, now knight rook d8, and again white is winning, but this time it's not that easy. To win this, we have to remove our king from g1 at some point. The most simple way to win this is probably to threaten checkmate like this, and also attack the bishop. And this does look scary for a moment. Black can move the knight anywhere to give a check, but at this point, after any check, we will take the bishop. Also, mate is threatened. This check doesn't do much, king g2. And this white king is not in too much danger, since he can escape via the light squares. So rook g7 happened, and here white just decided to repeat moves. Black decided to not repeat moves for some reason, and at this point the draw happened anyway. But as mentioned, white can win in a variety of ways tactically. The most efficient is this, again threatening mate and the bishop, and it should be quite easy. So in general, in this game, black was supposed to be winning, but he gave the white rooks too much activity, and then white was supposed to be winning due to some simple tactics involving skewers on the last rank.